Hi, Howard. Good, how are you? See you later. As a matter of fact, anybody's probably one I rate African immigrant that'll be calling you guys. I'm listening to you, sir. I got to get off the phone and I got other calls to make. You keep trying to tell us that the alley we did caused you to flood. No, it did not. As a matter of fact, again, I got about $15,000 for the damage. Sir, again, call your insurance provider. Again, make your claim, make your records, and you're more than welcome to try any legal action at that point towards the village. But it's not, why are you getting short with me? Sir, I got another phone call to make.
Hey, do they know that they can be heard? Matthew Ames and now they're streaming live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, good evening, residents and viewers from home. I'd like to call the Village Board Budget Hearing Meeting to order. The time is now
6:39.
6:39 p.m. At this time, I'd like to take a roll call. I'm Trustee Judy Abraham, Chairman of the Finance Committee.
Trustee John Tierney.
Trustee Andrea Senior.
At this time, I'd like to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this moment, I'd like to take a moment of silence. Okay, thank you. Okay. Item number 2, you want to do the public comments after, if we have any?
We have no public comments at this time, trustee.
All right, no public comments. Thank you. All right, item 3 is the public hearing concerning the proposed annual village budget for the fiscal year 2020 and 2021. Also present at the meeting, can you guys introduce yourselves, please?
I'm Tom Wood, Budget Officer.
Go ahead, Tim.
Finance Director.
Okay, thank you. All right. The floor is yours, Tom.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Evening.
No.
Take off mute.
Are we on mute?
Do you want to mute it?
No, he's gonna be talking, right? Do we gotta go down here, no?
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
An interesting way of doing this. Go right through here. Okay, we're going to go over the proposed budget for next year. And I'm going to start out with the general fund. And I just want to talk in general about the overall, there we go. The overall major items that are affecting our budget next year. And the number one, it's actually the first one and the last one are the two biggest items. We're thinking there's going to be significantly less revenue to go around this year due to the coronavirus and all the things that are happening associated with it. And a lot of this is, at this point, very unpredictable. We are now currently got some.
I'm sorry, excuse me. The mayor want to know, can you take your mask off because they can barely hear you?
Oh, okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Yes.
Okay. All right. So the major items that are affecting the budget are less, forecasted less revenue. Everybody getting this echo that I'm hearing? You guys hear that? No? Hear what? All right. Thanks, John. So it's very hard to predict what we're actually going to end up getting in cash flow to cover our expenses for next year. What we've done is I've actually increased it a little bit from where I initially did because the state of Illinois put out some guidance on what they thought would be decreasing in the areas. We also had some increases in our insurance premiums. Our pension payments are going up roughly about 5%. It's kind of being offset.
We can't hear anymore.
Okay, that's it. Okay, well, hopefully everybody can hear me now. As I reach to adjust the mic, it's not there. Let me get started again here from the beginning. All right, what we're talking about, for those that couldn't hear, is there are some significant items affecting the budget process this year. The biggest one is being the projected loss of revenue. And it's very hard to come up with solid numbers because no one in the world really knows what's going to happen over the next 8 to 12 months. What I did is I decreased a lot of our revenues based upon the state of Illinois put out a forecasting guide. They readjusted it after the lockdown, and I kind of used their decreases to all of the areas that's going to affect us, such as sales tax, state of Illinois income tax. There's a whole slew of items that that will be projected to be lower, and then there comes into, on top of that, the economic effects that might happen because of the coronavirus. So there's a lot of unpredictability in general. And we know that that we've had an increase in our insurance premiums, we've had an increase in our pension payments, but they're kind of offset by a decrease in what we're paying in legal. So there's the village expenses are pretty much flat. Some of the things that we've decided to do to address the unpredictability and to make sure we don't dig ourselves as a hole, is we're suspending any raises for village workers. So I've had a couple of people ask me, well, why is last year's budget and this year's budget different? Well, last year, the raises in many cases were in contingency lines. What we used is we kept the wages the same as of what they were making on April 30th. So anything they got last year is already went through. It's April 30th through May 31st. There will be no future raises. The other thing that we're doing is we're putting a 90-day moratorium on any unnecessary spending. So we're not going to go out and drop a bunch of money with the anticipation of getting the income coming in. We're going to have to wait and make sure the income's coming in before we do anything above and beyond the minimum. And that really affects some of the infrastructure projects that we've had on the books for a while. We're only going to move forward within those 90 days for projects where the funds are already available. So for instance, there's no one here from Hancock tonight, but I know Braga has now been postponed. If they were able to start, we have the money in the MFT to do that, so we could go ahead and do it. But any new projects, we're going to have to wait and see how this all works out. Okay, so let's just kind of fly through here and hit everything. When we switched presentations and put my voice on, we switched PowerPoints. So I am going to just do this on the fly and change directions. We're not going to talk about the general fund yet. We're going to go through the other funds. Okay, Fund 3 is the garbage fund. There is almost nothing different in this. We've set amount of people, and and we're expecting to take in a little over $100,000 more than what we're expecting to pay out. Now, you guys that have been here a while, you know that things happen, storms happen, money gets spent on dumpsters, but right now we're looking very good in the garbage fund, and if we had a few years like that and could bank that money, it would even be better. The next fund is IMRF. IMRF is the Municipal Retirement Fund. Also through this fund, we pay the Social Security, Medicare, and unemployment portions of our payroll. And that is actually going to be a big effect on our transfers from the general fund this year, because looking at the prior year, there was a large increase in the unemployment tax. And I'm doing some further research on that, because that just statistically, what I'm hoping is that this number is high and we will come in much better than this. But that's based upon the current salaries and the current contributions that we have to make this year. Part of that's covered by property taxes, and the other portion is transferred from the general fund. And notice that's $945,000. So it's going to take a little bit more time here to see what was unique about last year that it was so high, but we will address that as it comes along. I want to be safe and put it in here, and if we don't spend it, that's great. The next fund is the MFT fund. MFT is the motor fuel tax fund, and this is where we have got the money stuck away, saved for the Braga project. We get monthly remittances of our share of the MFT dollars. This year, we're expecting to get about $225,000. Make a little bit of interest off there. Will probably be much less now that interest rates have fallen through the floor. And the main expenditure out of here is the Braga project. The professional services are the engineering and other related professional fees related to the Braga project. And again, this year, we're putting the street lighting, those are the comment bills for the street light. Moving right along, we're going to the CDBG fund, Community Development Block Grants. We have a project. I'm just looking over my shoulder here for Matt. He's not here. These are for some alleys up on the north side. Our grant came in a little bit less than what we were anticipating. We're only going to get $190,000 for that. The cost of the project is $405,012. The village is going to fund the other $215,112. Luckily, because this project is in a TIF district and it's adjacent to a TIF that has funds available. So we'll be porting money when we get to those funds. I'll explain how we're doing this to pay the other portion of the project costs, and also that way we don't have to take it out of the general fund, which will conserve cash for other use. Roosevelt TIF Fund 15. By the way, we're down to 3 TIFs. 2 TIFs have now officially been closed, and everything is refunded back on them. Roosevelt TIF. We're expecting to get another good $500,000 in TIF increment this year. And that we were planning on spending some of it on a major capital project within the TIF. What we're finding out is the project may have to change. This is in here. If it is available to do, if it's not, we'll have to either wait another year or find a project that is available to do. The other things that are in here, yes, ma'am? Oh, that's out there. There's contractual services, and the other big item is program payments. And that is the contractual relationships we have with developers that are doing stuff within the TIF district. The one that everybody's been going on annually, we refund Dunkin' Donuts their sales tax and TIF increment. And there was a development on the corner of Roosevelt and 17th that should be completed this year, and that's where the money's coming from to pay that. The other thing at the bottom that you see before the total expenditures is there every year, and it is essentially a contingency on an IEPA loan that we have taken out years ago. If we sell the property, we have to pay the loan. If we don't sell the property, then we don't have to pay the loan. So as we move forward, someday that will either be paid or it will eventually, with time, will be forgiven. The next TIF that's still active and young is the 19th Street TIF. That's where your Chase and Jimmy John's and Advanced Auto is at, right there on 17th Avenue and 19th Street. This particular TIF is producing TIF increment, and we have, as part of the development agreement for doing that whole area there, the developer is getting the TIF increment until he reaches the contractual amounts that we promised him. So essentially the money comes in once a year, we transfer it to the developer. Seventeenth Avenue North, which this plays, oh, you know what? Can I back up? Let me see if I can back up. Yeah, I'll explain it. So I had mentioned for the CDBG grant that the project was in a TIF. It is in the 17th Avenue North TIF. But the 17th Avenue North TIF is a TIF that has never generated any increment. So it is basically has no funds. Luckily, it was adjacent to another TIF that does have funds. And based upon the way that TIFs work, we're able to move that fund into 17th Avenue, which you see is coming in from other and revenue. And we're going to turn around and send it right back out to pay the CDBG bills. Debt service, funded mainly through property taxes and the proceeds of the rollover bond. We're a little short this year by about $57,000, $57,505 to be exact. That will be a transfer from the general fund, and we will be paying all of our debt service, which right now is the 23A, the 2015A, which is the old 2003B issuance, the annual rollover bond, and our capital bond for the construction that happened here last year. Now, this is the slide that everybody always wants to see. What are we going to do? Well, notice there's nothing on it. Due to the situation of the economy, and we're not sure where there's no money sitting there to do anything at this point. So any projects that we're paying through another fund, and the capital improvements fund, capital projects fund this year has very little in it. What is there is the rent income off of a building the village owns and possibly property taxes at the bottom. I put them in there in case it actually happens. I do know this building though is up for sale, and both of those items may either decrease or go away totally. This is where all the activity is this year. The water and sewage fund. It has increased. It's very stable from last year. The amount of water has not increased a lot, but it hasn't fallen either with the slight price increase that was applied from January 1st to April 30th. The second increase is kicking in May 1st, and we're hoping to see a little more excess generated from our water cells going forward. But what's exciting about this fund this year is we are taking advantage of another low interest loan program, the revolving loan program, to get some of our large water projects done. We have figured out what exactly we could afford based upon what the interest rates or the water rate increase is going to generate. And we have applied for the loan. And as soon as that's all signed, sealed, and delivered, we have projects that total about, it's actually 5.6 million. There is 250,000 in there that's emergency water repair. So 5.6 million is in capital outlays. That's 3 large projects. We're referring to them as Roosevelt North, Roosevelt East, and I forgot the third one. I'm sorry. If you want to know, check with me later, and I'll fill you in on that. So we did we did consider taking a smaller amount and doing the projects in different years, but we had the engineering firm price the projects at one package, and then as individual packages about 12 months apart. And it turned out we ended up saving about $300,000 by doing it all up front. All right, now I'm going to see if I can do this without losing you all. I'm going to go to the beginning where I thought I was starting a minute ago. Yep, okay. Give me 1 second, folks. I'm having a hard time getting it going. Oh, it's just hit that activate or X out of it. I don't have an X. Oh, is it hidden by here? Maybe if I drag this. Yeah, there we go. All right, now let's go here. Perfect. So there you go. Mm-hmm.
You want to share this one?
The general form, yep. There you go.
I think that's it.
Yep. It's still nothing. That's where we were a minute ago.
Still good.
Do I need to close the other one to get this one to work? Maybe?
So. Yeah.
That's at the beginning. Resume.
Sure.
It's not, you know, it blows up when it's working. Close it and open it, maybe. Sorry, folks, we're having a little technical difficulty here.
Stop share. And we'll just close them all.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
Screen share. Oh, we got to open that again, don't we?
Where's it going? There it is.
Nice.
Okay, let's get rid of that first. Go back to Zoom.
There. Go.
And share screen. And then take this screen.
Click that. Share.
Share. And then go up here, and we should be able to go.
Click on it anyway.
You know, let's try slideshow. From beginning. All right, we're fixed. We got it fixed. Okay, this is basically, when I was doing these, I ended up putting this in both of them. It's the same thing I talked about before. This less revenue is going to be the big challenge this year. And because we know this is going to happen, we're cracking down in the sense that we're going to try to cut back on any unnecessary spending. We're going to put a 90-day moratorium on doing any big projects, and we're foregoing raises this year. By doing that, a couple things that I just wanted to point out. we had made the point last year of how our aggressively going after other taxes and growing the sales taxes and just trying to do things to find other ways to fund the village, how it was actually became the largest funding source in the village's revenues. This year, because of all the stuff that's happening, it's actually fallen back behind property taxes. So we're getting about 36.7% of our income through property taxes and about 35% through other taxes. The intergovernmental taxes then bring it in about another 8.5%. Everything else is very small. It's all of them are less than 5%. If we take a look at last year and this year, you can see that overall the projections, the property taxes have went up on a percentage basis, and the other taxes, which is the big driver in there, is sales taxes, actually went down. So we're projecting actually to get less than we did last year. In the intergovernmental, that captures our state of Illinois income tax, we're also projecting that to be less. License permits and fees is slightly less, but this is also something that in many cases is driven by the economy. Depending on what happens in the next 6 months to a year, that number could come in better or worse. So like I said, it's very hard at this point to really get a good gauge on what the actual cash flows are going to be. Investment income, we know it's probably going to fall. We have a little more money sitting in some of the accounts, but since I did this, the interest rates have fallen again. So hopefully there'll still be enough in there to cover the banking expenses associated with it, because it offsets our servicing fees. But we're not seeing any growth at all in that particular line item. Charges for services, we're predicting a little bit of increase, but that's based upon the water rate increase. Fines and forfeitures, again, they're out there, but if everybody stays home and everybody behaves, we're not sure. We could get up there, but that's just another line item we've got to keep our eyes on. And others, just miscellaneous hodgepodge of stuff. That is, the 507 is based upon the last 3 years of those items. So if you look at the trend over the last 5 years, you can see that the revenues have been steadily increasing, whether it's property taxes or intergovernmental. You can just go down the line. 2017 through 2020, we've been pretty good about increasing the revenues. This year, these estimates are down in many cases due to our current situation, and we're gonna have to take a wait and see approach to this. And as part of that wait and see, we've asked all of our department heads to cut their budget requests. They cut significant amounts of their initial requests and tried to keep it down to the bare minimum of the items that we need. And then the bottom, oops, not on this one. That's just the percentage of where that nice chart came from in the slide before. Okay, expenses. We're trying to stay flat. There is a slight increase, but compared to what would normally happen, it's essentially flat. We have some increases that are contractually based. The big one is the unions and the step raises within the different categories. And I'll point out to you when we get to the departments here why one of them looks like it's going up even after she cut it, and it's linked right to what I was referring to there. So right now, the personal services are accounting for the majority of our expense. Contractual services then come in, and then the rest of them, well, commodities can jump up there, but the big one is personal services and the related employee benefits. The percentage of what we were spending on each one of those last year as compared to this year. So there is more on a percentage basis. There's less being spent on personal services, but it's overall we're going from 15,496 and change to 15,000, or from 15,443. So there's only about a $50,000 increase in expenses. If you look at these expenses broken across the departments, as usual, you can see that the fire and police are getting the majority of the village's funds. It looks like the fire department it looks like they might have been requesting more, but part of the drive in the amount that fire department's getting is they have a lot of younger employees who have not made it up through all of the steps in the contract. So each year there is a step increase, and that pretty much accounts for the majority of the difference between last year and this year. There was one capital item that we cut at the last minute last year that we just had to spend money on this year. But other than that, it's all of the normal things that we've been looking at for the last 10 years. As you can see, more and more, and this is driven by personnel and salaries, more and more of our expenses each year related to the police and fire department. And the other departments have trended down, in not all cases, but in many cases. And there's been a steady increase on those two large departments that account for most of the village employees. In a percentage basis, what I was referring to earlier, it looks like the police are taking a smaller percentage of the costs, and the fire is went up a little bit, but that's all related to the contractual relationships. Looking back over the last 5 years, you can see a steady increase in most of these. The one that fluctuates is capital outlays. Some years we have to buy equipment. This year, the capital outlays are more related to small items like defibrillators, things like that within individual line items of the department. Okay, and again, that's the budget trend of expenses. It's expressed in a percent instead of dollars, and it tells the same story. So if we look at this going forward, it does not look good for 2021. The revenues and the expenditures are below the revenues with a slight profit for slight excess for the fiscal year in operations. But due to the fact that we're going to have to fund other funds, such as the IMRF, we're going to have to transfer money out. So the net change in the general fund will be negative. Most of that money being transferred to one of the other funds, whether it's debt service, IMRF. That's the two big ones. Let's see, and that I believe that concludes all the slides. Does anyone have any questions?
Trustee Jerry, we talked about employee reducing salaries and not paying them
Has that been discussed already? Is that given or that's just a proposal?
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. Trustee Tierney was asking, has there been are we planning to do any salary reductions at this time? I am not aware of anything at this time, though everything in my view would be on the table depending on how bad our revenues get hit. It really boils down to is if the money's not coming in, we don't have it to pay out. But at this point, it looks like we're covering everything.
I'm just going by that sheet that first page that says no raises.
Yes, no raises. There won't be any no raises. No, not reductions. Just we're not going up. Right.
That's all I have.
Trustee Tierney, Trustee Senor. Finance Director, has anything to make any comments? No.
Well, we have.
Anything else you want to add, Budget Officer?
Well, we've got a couple people on here. We've got Katrina, Verena. Do you guys have any questions?
No, you answered all my questions prior to the meeting, so thank you.
I don't have a question, but I do have a comment as it relates to as we go into the next fiscal year on being fiscal responsible. I think over the course of the past couple of years, we've been very responsible in our finances and making sure we are in compliance and what we need to look at. And so our biggest corpus is our pension plans, our payroll, health benefits, and our debt obligations, and everything else that come within the department for them to have operational needs. We looked at that. So every department head actually cut a lot out of their budget so that we can get to this point. Like Tom said, over the next 90 days, we will reevaluate our budget to see where we are financially as we receive revenue, and we will make adjustments accordingly, and being in a very transparent way with the Board of Trustees as well as the community at large. So with COVID-19 taking place, it did put a damper, not just on the village of Broadview, but a lot of other local municipalities. And as we have these different conference calls with our Mayor Cogs, these are the conversations that we're talking about. And some things we need to, still keep in mind: our infrastructure, our street repairs, our water infrastructure, all of those things is a big role to us and how we give something back to the residents. So we just want people to be patient with us, work with us. We had hopes to complete one area of streets this year, and that project was $1.3 million that we just don't have to do it yet. But we are entertaining the Rebuild Illinois funding, so we can entertain up to $5 million. So we have Director Ames and the engineers working on that grant funding. So if we get some funding opportunities, we can get some relief to do some more street repairs or some infrastructure repairs. So hopefully we'll get awarded something. But when you have $25 million and you have multiple municipalities, it's a very competitive grant. But even if we get $1 million, we'll still be able to do something. And what that something is, we don't know right at this moment. But as we go along with this opportunity, we will keep the community connected to what projects we're going to do and what we can do with the money that we have. That's all I have. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you. And kind of to piggyback on her point, this budget is where we are today. This could be very different 60 days from today, 60, 90 days from now. It could be bad, it could be good. We could be getting, they're talking about funding at the federal level for municipalities. The state's opening up opportunities for us. So we could have cash flowing in that we're just not expecting it, but it could actually come along, and we will have to go in and adjust this budget as we go through the year. Okay.
So will we be asked to reevaluate the budget once changes are made within 60 or 90 days?
I'll have to get you back to you on that. What we've done in the past is when something comes up, we'll have as an item in one of the board meetings, and they
Right. That's it.
we'll be adding to. We've got this $1 million grant. We want to do
Right.
these streets with that $1 million grant, and then we just have to have the wording in there to amend the budget to do as such.
Right.
Okay, understood.
Thank you, Tom. That was exactly what I was gonna say.
All right. Are you guys going to go right into the meeting from here?
7:30.
Close it off. Okay.
So we got a 10-minute break. So
Let's get a 10-minute break.
An adjournment right now.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Madam Chairman, did you have any closing remarks?
At this time, I'd like to call for an adjournment. Number one, before we do that, I want to thank Budget Officer Tom Hood for that presentation. Very informative. I know we had, some of us got the paper copy that requested it just based on questions from the other trustees. So with that being said, can I have an adjournment from one of my finance committee members? I got a motion from trustee.
Second.
I got a second from trustee Andrea. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Hearing anybody opposed? None. At this point in time, I'm gonna adjourn the meeting at 7. I want to thank our residents at home. I'd like to thank the fellow board members that are here in attendance for everything. And thank you to Mr. Tom Hood and to our finance director, Mr. Hicks. Thank you. Everybody have a good night.
Second, I'll find out where it is and I'll tell you.
We gotta go up there. You want us three to stay here? Okay.
I know the village is.
You still on, John?
Well, I'm good the way you are.
I guess we should hang this up. Do we leave this and then just redo it? Okay.
we can't
Device, there we go. Yeah, just like that.
That's it. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I think we're waiting on, oh, there she is. Mr. Clerk, are you ready to start? I heard him say yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I'm calling our regular board meeting to order at 7:31. We are virtually social distancing in the Village Hall. Mr. Clerk, can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, you can, Madam President. Trustee Miller.
Here.
Trustee Jones is absent. Trustee Abraham. Trustee Abraham, can you hear us?
Or is she on
Trustee
mute?
Abraham's here.
Thank you. Trustee Senior.
You're here? Say you're here.
Trustee Andres Senior's here.
I see it. Trustee Tierney.
Present, I'm here.
Trustee Horn.
Here.
Madam President, we have a quorum.
Can't hear him.
Thank you.
Can we all stand or be seated for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I'll give you one.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
With liberty and justice for all.
justice for all. Thank you. Can we all pause for a moment of silence? Thank you. Public comments. We have none at this time. We did post that during the COVID-19, we have a special request for public comments to be submitted to the clerk's office prior to the board meeting, and we received none at this time. So item 3, communication. The 2020 Census Food and PPE Tour Bus will be coming to Broadview Saturday, May 30th, 2020 at 10 a.m. over at Roosevelt School. This will be a drive-up by car event. We'll be giving out food baskets, PPE, and census information. This is for Broadview residents only. If you have any questions, please contact the clerk's office, 708-681-3600. Next item, item 4, consideration to approve the following minutes. We have none at this time, which brings us to item 5. Consideration to approve expenditures. Grand total of all funds, $401,751.02.
Motion to approve. Second.
It's been properly motioned by Trustee Abraham, seconded by Trustee Senior. Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Trustee Abraham, Chairwoman of the Finance Committee, will you please read the warrant list?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Okay, this is the AP warrant list for May 14th, 2020. First vendor, Chicagoland Trenchless Rehabilitation, $2,920. Echo Clean Maintenance Incorporated, $2,504. Illinois Counties Risk Management Trust, $345,885. Mavis Division 20, $6,000. Ray O'Haron Company Incorporated, $6,028.32. STP Transport, $2,725. Timothy J. Hicks CPA, $4,875. Verizon Wireless, $2,954.22. Windstream, $3,582.90. Total expenditures over $2,500 is $377,474.44. Our total expenditures is $401,751.02. Our percentage of total is 94%. We also have a manual payment for Molders Collision Center dated for 5/5/2020. That's an amount of $1,920.68. For the funds that will be charged, our general fund, $396,217.91. The garbage fund, $1,037.36. Our water and sewage fund, $4,495.75. That gives us a grand total of $401,751.02. That is the end of the report.
Thank you, Trustee Abraham. Trustee Horn?
Nothing.
Trustee Tierney?
Nothing.
Trustee Senior? Trustee Abraham?
Nothing.
Trustee Miller?
No questions.
Can we get a roll call, please? We can't hear you, Mr. Clerk. You on mute.
Sorry about that. Trustee Miller?
Yes.
Trustee Jones is absent. Trustee Abraham?
Yes.
Trustee Senior? Trustee Tierney? Trustee Horn?
Yes.
And Madam President, carries 5-0 to pay the bills. Thank you. Next is item 6, village officer reports. There will be no officer reports this evening. However, all village officer reports have been submitted to the mayor and are also on file with the clerk's office. Thank you. Item 7, old business, we have none. Item 8, new business. Starting with a resolution mourning the passing of Charles Lee Glenn for the village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Been properly motioned by Trustee Miller, seconded by Trustee Abraham. Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. The purpose of this resolution is to mourn the passing of Charles Lee Glenn. Whereas the village president and the board of trustees of the village are saddened by the death of Charles Lee Glenn, and whereas Mr. Glenn was born to late Gazzy David and Willie Maud Harvey Glenn of Glenville, Alabama on May 1st, 1945. He is preceded in death by his parents and sibling Callie Fort, Albert Glenn, Will Pappy, Carrie, Gazzy Jr., Eddie C., and Willie James. And whereas Mr. Glenn received his Christ at an early age at Mount Olive Baptist Church in Glenville, Alabama. And he was a proud graduate of Glenville High School who very much looked forward to his faithful attendance in the biannual class reunion festivities. And whereas Mr. Glenn was drafted to serve in the U.S. Army in 1966, where he served our country in the Vietnam War until his honorable discharge. And whereas following his service in the U.S. Army, Mr. Glenn relocated to Chicago, where he worked several jobs before retiring in 2011 from his career as a truck driver. And whereas while in Chicago, Mr. Glenn met and married Alice, who remained committed and faithful to him until his last breath. To this union, a daughter was born, Vernisa Missy. Excuse me. And whereas Mr. Glenn was a kind, gentle, caring, loving, and supportive husband, father, uncle, grandfather, and friend. Others could count on him to be present and supportive of everyone. He attended all of the sporting events, graduations, birthday parties for his family and friends. He never met a stranger and made friends. Everywhere he frequented. The bank, store, school, everywhere. Mr. Glenn was especially proud of his role as happy to his granddaughters. And whereas after a very good fight, Mr. Glenn gained his heavenly wings on April 17, 2020, and whereas Mr. Glenn lives to cherish his memories, a loving wife of several decades, Alice, a loving daughter, Bernice Glover, 3 granddaughters, Kennedy, Kai, and Corey, sisters Mary Jackson and Dorothy Glenn, mother-in-law Ernestine Love, sister-in-law Ellen Glenn, Johnny Mae Glenn, Marletha Rosa, Yvette Love, brothers-in-law Megger Love and Dylan Love, special nieces Shirley Leonard and Anita Strigler, and a host of nieces, nephews, and cousins. In addition to his family, Mr. Glenn was loved by so many, and with that, he leaves many, many friends to cherish his memories. Now, therefore, it be resolved by the President of Village Board of Trust in the Village of Broadview, Cook County, Illinois. The resolution shall be effective and full force immediately upon passage and approval. Trustee Horn?
Nothing.
Trustee Tierney?
Nothing.
Trustee Senior? See the clerk. Trustee Senior? Trustee Abraham?
Nothing.
Trustee Miller?
I have no questions, just sending our condolences to the Glenn family. You have our prayers.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, you can, Madam President. Before we do roll call, let the record reflect that at 7:41, Trustee Jones just arrived to the meeting. We'll have roll call now. Trustee Miller?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Abstain.
Okay, thank you, sir. Trustee Abraham?
Yes.
Trustee Senior?
Yes.
Trustee Tierney?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Madam President, this carries 6-0 with 1 abstention. Thank you. Next item B, presentation and motion related to Miss Kim project from Montana and Welch.
I make a motion to table this item.
Second.
Been properly motioned by Trustee Tierney, seconded by Trustee Miller to table this item.
Table
I'm sorry.
until June 1st, the next village board meeting.
Okay, so that'll be the next board meeting, June 1st. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. Hearing no opposition, we will table this item B till the next board meeting, June 1st. Thank you all. Next item is C. A resolution approving the local public agency agreement for federal participation to be entered into by the Village of Broadview and the Illinois Department of Transportation, IDOT, and for the appropriation of village funds for the purpose of paying for the local agency share related to the construction of the roadway improvements on 21st Avenue and 19th Street under IDOT project number LTLC 578, state job number C-91-384-19, MFT section number 16-00080-01-PV. A mouthful.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been properly motioned by Trustee Tierney, seconded by Trustee Abraham. Madam President.
Thank you. Chris from Hancock, are you on the line?
I am, yes.
You would tell us about this project?
Sure. This is simply the continuation of the Braga Drive project that we started this past year. Last year, we constructed from 25th Avenue to the intersection of Parks, 16th Street, and 21st Avenue. This year, starting probably somewhere around August 1st, we will continue the construction that will take us from 21st Avenue south to 19th Street and then 19th Street out to 17th Avenue. The construction will be broken down into 2 construction seasons, most likely due to the timing of the bid opening, which was postponed because of IDOT funding issues. So we probably will, once we get a contract awarded, we'll talk schedule specifically, but we'll probably construct 19th Street this year and 21st Avenue next year, but that's kind of up in the air. The village received a STP grant for approximately 80% of the total construction cost.
Okay. Trustee Horn, you have any questions?
Sorry about that. No, I don't.
Okay, Trustee Tierney,
No, I don't.
Trustee Senior,
No question.
Trustee Abraham,
None.
Trustee Miller,
So there were two different amounts listed in the proposal. It's $2,012 and $2,347,000. What's the difference with
I
those
believe
two?
one of those includes construction engineering.
And the other
Yes.
one doesn't include construction and
Correct.
engineering? Okay.
Correct.
That was my only question.
thank you, Mr. Clerk. Trustee Jones, did you have any questions?
No.
Mr. Clerk, can we get a roll call, please?
And Madam President, Trustee Miller,
Yes.
Trustee Jones,
Yes.
Trustee Abraham,
Yes.
Trustee Senior,
Yes.
Trustee Tierney,
Yes.
and Trustee Horn.
Yes.
And Madam President, this carries unanimously 6-0. Thank you all. Item D, a resolution authorizing and approving an agreement with Edwin Hancock Engineering Company for the furnishing of construction engineering services related to the Braga Drive Improvements Project for the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been properly motioned by Trustee Abraham, seconded by Trustee Senior. Madam President.
Thank you. This is an agreement to approve Hancock Engineering to furnish construction for the Braga Drive project. Trustee Horn,
No questions.
Trustee Tierney,
No question.
Trustee Senior,
No question.
Trustee Abraham,
None.
Trustee Jones,
No.
Trustee Miller.
No questions.
Can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, you can, Madam President. Trustee Miller,
Yes.
Trustee Jones,
Aye.
Trustee Abraham,
Yes.
Trustee Senior,
Yes.
Trustee Tierney,
Yes.
and Trustee Horn.
Yes.
Thank you all. Madam President, this carries unanimously 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is item E, a resolution authorizing and approving an intergovernmental agreement by and between the Village of Broadview and the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago for the design, construction, operation, and maintenance of the Green Alley Improvements Project in the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Been properly motioned by Trustee Miller, seconded by Trustee Jones. Madam President.
Chris, will you tell us about the green alleys?
Absolutely. So this is a intergovernmental agreement with the Village of Broadview and the MWRD. The MWRD recently chose the Village of Broadview to receive a grant for the green alleys, which are 3 alleys located in the Gold Coast between Fillmore and Harvard. I don't have the exact locations, but I believe it's between 19th and 20th, 21st and 22nd, and 22nd and 23rd. I can follow up with that. But the grant is for approximately 70% of the cost.
Trustee Horn,
I have nothing.
Trustee Tierney,
I have nothing.
Trustee Senior, Trustee Senior,
No question.
Trustee Abraham,
None.
Trustee Jones,
No comment.
Trustee Miller.
The $448,000, is that what we're proposing the cost of the project to be, or the cost of the reimbursement, or the reimbursement from the water district?
I believe that is the loan, or I'm sorry, that is the grant from the MWRD. The village has the balance, which is less than that.
So do we know the total cost of the project?
I do. If you give me a moment, I can pull that up. Sorry. I believe it's $800,000, $811,000. I'm sorry, $792,000.
Thank you.
That's it, Trustee Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Clerk, can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, ma'am. Trustee Miller,
Yes.
Trustee Jones,
Aye.
Trustee Abraham,
Yes.
Trustee Senior,
Yes.
Trustee Tierney,
Yes.
Trustee Horn,
Yes.
and this too carries unanimously 6-0, Madam President. Thank you. Next item is item F, an ordinance adopting the annual budget for the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois.
Motion to table this to May 21st, Thursday at 6:30.
Second.
Been properly motioned by Trustee Abraham, seconded by Trustee Tierney, to table until May 21st, 6:30 p.m. Madam President?
That's fine, 6:30.
Okay. All right, so there'll be no discussion. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. Hearing no opposition, this is hereby tabled until May 21st, 6:30 p.m. right here at Village Hall. Thank you. Next, item 9, application for the authority to expend funds. We have none. Which brings me to item 10, Village Clerk's report. So I don't have much, but I do have something that's very, very important and exciting. We're giving away a flat screen TV, and this is based off of the 2020 census response rates. Currently, the Village of Broadview is at close to 67% self-response rate for the 2020 census. And based on the respondents that have turned their information in and have shown proof that they have responded to the census, we have a box. And I'm going to go to one of the trustees to do this drawing and give away this 43-inch flat screen TV. So I'm going to pause my video and make my way to Trustee Miller.
Can I win?
You can win. You got to choose your name. Okay, the winner for the flat screen television is Sylvester Roach on South 9th Avenue. We have the information. We will be in contact with you tomorrow, Sylvester Roach, and you have a 43-inch flat screen TV. Thank you for taking the census in Broadview. It's not too late. If you haven't already taken the census, you can do so at www.2020census.gov, or you can call the phone number, which I can't read, it's too small. It looks like 844-330-2020. That's 844-330-2020. That concludes the clerk's report for this time, Madam President. Next item, Village President, Mayor Katrina Thompson.
Thank you. Yesterday, we got hit with some pretty heavy rain. So I just want to remind the residents that we do have the flood control assistance program in place. And so what it does, it will reimburse property owners 50% of all eligible costs, not to exceed $2,500, subject to available funding. Please call the building department at 708-345-8174 for more information, or visit our website to download the information. This is something that I highly encourage the residents to take advantage of, but I know during this pandemic, most people are probably not working and don't have the available funds available to do something like this, but I think it's something that you should probably start looking into to entertain and start getting the information, because the document is probably maybe 12 pages that you need to look into. So I encourage you to look into that. I want to thank Public Works and the fire department and the police department. They worked really well together yesterday as it relates to making sure that the community was alert and aware of what was taking place as roads being shut down. And I know cleaning up water out your basement is very, very challenging. I've done it multiple times, and actually I didn't actually have flooding like many of my neighbors did, but I did have the seepage. So it is a lot of hard work, but just know that you can call us, and whatever information we have or resources that we have, we are most certainly going to make sure that you get that information. On another note, we have some good news on some grant funding. Excuse me. The Ike 911, we received $376,827 in grant funding for the Ike 911 Center. And that is a split between the two towns, Broadview and Maywood. So we each got $188,413. And the check came to Broadview, and we have released the funds over to the village of Maywood. So I just want to thank Paul Kirshner, the director of the Ike 911 Center, how he articulated that information to make sure that we received the funding that we needed for our 911 center. So thank you, Director Kirshner and Chief Uglin. Over the past couple of weeks or the past couple of weekends, we've been doing several parades through towns as it relates to birthday celebrations, graduations, or any significant big celebration a resident may have. And Sergeant Dan Conforti got invited to one of the parades on yesterday, and it stormed yesterday. But I just think it's important for us as a community to know the type of people that we have working in the village of Broadview. So many years ago, this young man, he just graduated from Eastern University, Eastern Illinois. And many years ago, he had some trauma take place in his life. And his mother just shared with me the story, how she really wanted Sergeant Conforti to be there at his parade, because she said it wouldn't be complete without him, because he helped her through some of the stuff that she was going through with her son. And so Sergeant Conforti, he was off from work yesterday. He had flooded in his house, but he took the time out of his own time to come to participate in that parade. And that was so significant to that family. So I just want to say thank you, Sergeant Conforti, for, being on the front line for our residents. We truly appreciate that. I also got a compliment from Mrs. Lily Yancey. She got a package. The package went to the wrong address. It was on a different block, same address, just a different block. She called the police department and, told them that the package was delivered, but she didn't want to go to the house to retrieve the package. So she called the police department. They actually found the package. It was still in the box, and they retrieved it and brought it to her. So she was really grateful for that. So she wanted to just commend those officers for doing that task for her. She appreciated that. And finally, as we go through this pandemic, we just want the messaging to just be the same. Just, please continue to wash your hands, avoid touching your eyes, nose, and your mouth with unwashed hands, avoid close contact with people who are sick, and wear a face mask when you're out doing essential shopping. As we go through these next couple of weeks, we will be streamlining some things, slowly, gradually opening up back the Village Hall, going back into our regular routine as it relates to collection of late fees or citations and those types of things. So we're going to gradually go back into some type of normalcy for the village of Broadview. And we just want you all to know that we're here to support you. We know some families have some financial hardship, and if you have that transparency and you bring that to us, we want to be able to still work with you. But we have to get back to some type of normalcy as we move the village forward. As it relates to our fiscal budget, we had our budget hearing earlier, and on Thursday, hopefully the trustees will pass the budget that was presented to them tonight. But this budget is a budget about being transparent and being upfront and being conscious of what's taking place. And earlier we talked about doing evaluations every 90 days to see how we collect revenues before we actually make the expenses. And just to be real transparent with our community as it relates to our finances, what takes place is our biggest expenses are fire and police pensions, payroll and health benefits, and then our debt obligations. And so those are the things that we're committed to, that we have to make sure that we can fund and we can pay for those things. The department heads, I have to give kudos to them. They took a tremendous hit as it relates to trimming the fat off of their budget to make sure that we can be diligent and responsible moving this village forward. And I think over the past couple of years, we've done a really good job as it relates to our budget. So I'm happy to represent the village of Broadview. I'm happy that I have the department heads who are very conscious and very knowledgeable in their budgets, and they're being responsible. They take ownership in their budgets. They work with the finance team. They work with my office to make sure that we all work collectively to have a good product for the village of Broadview. And most certainly it's on our minds to make sure that we are able to keep up with our infrastructure and our streets. But due to the COVID-19, that may put us back on some revenue side on some of the things we wanted to do. But just rest assured, we're going to be upfront and we're going to be very transparent with you all as we move this village forward on the projects that we're going to undertake for what our monies can afford. The budget is a very good budget. I'm very pleased with it, and I'm sure that the Board of Trustees are pleased as well. So that's all that I have. Just be safe. Continue to follow the order that's in place, stay home as much as possible. On another note, I'm going to yield it to Chief Kenny because we was on a conference call on Saturday and we had the president of Loyola on the line. And so they gave some really good information. And I just want to make sure that we articulate that information that we received to the community. So Chief Kenny.
Hi, good evening, Mayor, residents, and trustees. I just wanted to mention this call was excellent. It gave us some great reminders and things that we've been talking about. So with the COVID-19 pandemic, we cannot forget to maintain our own daily wellness, mental and physical. Those with pre-existing conditions need to continue to care for themselves and seek treatment when needed. Loyola has assured us that all COVID patients are separated in the ER and at regular doctor's appointments. So please take care of yourself and seek any treatment for emergencies or issues related to your health before the symptoms worsen. We are here to care for you. We will keep you safe in these difficult times. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Kenny. So with that being said, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn to executive session.
A regular board meeting go to executive session.
Second.
Mr. Clerk, you on mute. We can't hear you.
Forgot again. Sorry about that. Been properly motioned by Trustee Tierney, seconded by Trustee Abraham to adjourn the, pause the regular board meeting and go to executive session. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Say no opposition. We are hereby adjourned from the regular board meeting going to executive session. Thank you.
and then recovered from it. They all initially tested positive, then they each tested negative after this twice. A number of those sailors, more than a dozen of them, have now tested positive again, even though they tested negative twice before. Positive and then negative, making it seem like they had it and they cleared it, and now they've got it again. That raises a bunch of different worrying questions about the testing. For one, is the testing showing false positives or false negatives? But if the testing is all right, then there's also the worrying prospect that this might mean that people who got coronavirus once before might be reinfectable, so they could get it again, despite all the hopes that we have that at least being infected with it once might make it somewhat immune to being able to get it. So there's a lot going on. We're going to get some expert advice on some of these questions and worries in just a moment. But big picture, the more we understand about what's going on in our country, I know it sucks to hear it, but things really are getting better. We do have the worst epidemic in the world. And yeah, the tri-state area that got it initially, they have started to bend that curve down. There are a few isolated states that started to bend that curve down. But by and large, big picture, outside of that tri-state area, the country's epidemic is getting worse, not on the coast, it's getting worse, not in the biggest cities in the country, it's getting worse all over the heartland of the world. And that's real. A couple weeks ago, we showed you this photo. She felt ill at work. She went to the on-site clinic at JBS. They told her she was fine to stay at work. She tried to do so, but ultimately she had to go home. She ended up checking herself into the hospital. She ended up on a ventilator. Yesterday, this eye became the eighth worker from JBS to die from coronavirus. Her daughter gave his eye's first grandson. Just as Tim went into the hospital, she was never able to spend time with her first grandson before she died. Her son is a Lance Corporal in the United States Marine Corps. He is deployed right now in the Pacific. He was not able to come home and see his mother before she died. The Greeley, Colorado beef plant, where Ms. I apparently contracted the virus that has now killed her, and where these seven additional workers have now died. You might remember that that is the plant that promised that they would test all of their workers before they reopened. They shut down amid signs that they had a major outbreak. Vice President Pence talked about them from the White House. They said they were going to get testing for all of their team members before they reopened the plant. And then something happened with the JBS plant in Greeley, Colorado, and they went back on those promises and they decided to reopen without testing everyone. Well, tonight we can report that what they're doing at JBS is that they are screening their workers now for symptoms. They're giving their workers instructions that they shouldn't work if they don't feel well. And it's true, nobody should be going to work if they don't feel well, but that also shouldn't count as screening workers for coronavirus before they go into that plant. Given the hundreds and thousands of cases we've had in meatpacking plants, screening workers at those plants for fever before they go in isn't going to help keep the virus out of those plants. You can have coronavirus and be infectious to others with zero symptoms, including zero fever. But even that place where they've had all of those workers killed, they're screening for symptoms and otherwise come on in. We can also report tonight that according to two sources, the huge Smithfield meatpacking plant in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, they've also made testing available to their workers. They have encouraged their workers to get tested. But workers at the Smithfield plant in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, that has given rise to a good-sized outbreak in Sioux Falls, more than 1,000 cases are attributable to that outbreak there as of weeks ago. We can report tonight that workers at that Smithfield plant in Sioux Falls, now that the plant is reopened, they're being told to report to work and get on the line and start working inside that plant while they wait for their test results. So they're being encouraged to be tested, right? They're getting tested, but before they know if they're positive or not, they're going into the plant and starting to work. And the result there we have on authority from two sources is that workers at that plant in Sioux Falls are getting positive test results while they're at work already, and only then are they being sent. Like I said, there's over 1,300 positive cases associated with workers at that plant already. They're telling people to go in and get swabbed to get tested and then get on the line and go to work. The science is getting further from our national response over time. The science and our policy responses, both when it comes to individual workplaces and when it comes to our national policies, the science and what we're doing are divorcing further every day. The chasm is getting wider. As the epidemic gets worse, you would at least hope that the scientific foundation of our actions will become more solid. Instead, it's becoming thinner and thinner and weaker and dumber with each passing day. I'm going to take that on here directly.
I wanted my hepatitis C gone. I put off treating her.
Epclusa treats all main types of chronic hep C. Whatever your type, Epclusa could be your kind of cure.
I just found out about it.
I know for years. Epclusa has a 98% overall cure rate.
I had no symptoms of hepatitis C. Mine caused liver damage.
Epclusa is only one pill, once a day, taken with or without food for 12 weeks. Before starting Epclusa, your doctor will test if you have had hepatitis B, which may flare up and could cause serious liver problems during and after treatment. Tell your doctor if you have had hepatitis B, other liver or kidney problems, HIV or other medical conditions, and all medicines you take, including herbal supplements. Taking amiodarone with Epclusa may cause a serious slowing of your heart rate. Common side effects include headache and tiredness. Ask your doctor today if Epclusa is your kind of cure. Find joy. Find things to share. Find connection. You can find it all if you just know where to look. Shop Etsy. Find joy.
It's best we stay apart for a bit, but you're not alone. We're automatically refunding our customers a portion of their personal auto premiums. Learn more at libertymutual.com/COVID-19.
There are so many toothpastes out there. Which one should I use? Try Crest Proactive Defense. It neutralizes bacteria for a healthier mouth than even the leading multi-benefit toothpaste. Crest. When allergies attack, the excitement fades. Allegra helps you say yes with the fastest non-drowsy allergy relief. For 24-hour relief from your indoor and outdoor allergies, say yes to life's possibilities. Allegra. Live your life, not your allergies. If you have moderate to severe cough psoriasis, every day can begin with weight. That's why there's Illumia. With just 2 doses, a majority of people will feel or almost clear.
Don't use your allergic to Illumia or any of its ingredients. Before starting treatment, the doctor should check for tuberculosis and infections. Illumia may increase your risk of infections and lower your ability to fight them.
Text info to 20808 to learn how you could leave your psoriasis symptoms behind. And ask your doctor for Illumia today for a cure tomorrow.
When you fall and can't get help, you will lie on the floor for hours or days in constant, terrible anguish. But with Life Alert, one touch of the button can get you help fast. Life Alert saves a life every 11 minutes. For a free Life Alert brochure, call 1-800-838-1966. That's 1-800-838-1966. These are the United States, a united people with a united purpose. Future doesn't belong to the belongs to the. A great people has been moved to defend a great nation. All of us can extend a hand to those in need.
In our new coronavirus world, a temperature check may soon be the way you're allowed to get on an airplane in the United States. The Wall Street Journal today reporting that TSA may start temperature screenings in U.S. airports before people are allowed to board flights, which is something. But in terms of the science of this, since people can still be positive and infectious to others without having a fever, without having symptoms, is that actually a good idea in U.S. airports? But it's not just something that is maybe starting at airports. Being screened for fever is now also how you get put back on the factory line or not at some of the big meatpacking plants in this country, including one with a huge outbreak and now 8 workers dead in Greeley, Colorado. In Sioux Falls, South Dakota, the union tells us they have had 1,300 positive tests among workers at that plant so far. Smithfield, South Dakota meatpacking plant. Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Smithfield meatpacking plant. At that plant, they are testing asymptomatic workers, but the union says workers without symptoms are sent to work while they are waiting for their test results, which means some of them are going into work, awaiting their positive test result, potentially spreading the virus without knowing it inside a plant where we know it's almost uncontrollable. Initially, relying on symptoms as a way to find this virus might have made sense before we really understood more about the virus's dynamics. But now that we know that huge numbers of people can be positive and infectious with no fever and no symptoms, why are we still doing that? Why would we be starting to do that on a broader scale now? And what about places that are finding outbreaks of the virus, but officials are not reporting it, so the public doesn't know? In Arizona, for example, they're not reporting where nursing home outbreaks are in Arizona because the governor says it would be bad for business to report where outbreaks are in individual nursing homes. Bad for business? How good is it for business for nobody to know? In Iowa, they're not reporting outbreaks at any workplaces, including meatpacking plants, until 10% or more of the workforce there is infected. Isn't that backwards? Why would you do that? Why would you wait for the problem to get that big before you told anyone instead of trying to get on it when it was still potentially
Did you get it?
a manageable problem?
Did you get it?
Yeah,
It's on Zoom.
I know. I went to Zoom, but it only had. Let me think.
The last meeting on there.
No, it's got the meeting on there now, and it's right now they in closed session. And said trustees are currently in closed session and will return shortly.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll go back up there and try to find it again then.
Okay, go back to it and click on it. You got to download Zoom because you don't have it on your computer.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
You're right.
All right.
Don't have it on my computer. I got it on my phone. Okay.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Thus far strikes you as wrong or backwards, or if I'm already asking dumb questions. Well, I definitely think the points you made about not notifying which nursing homes have outbreaks, which workplaces have outbreaks, that's the exact opposite of what you want to do in an infectious disease emergency. You want full transparency. You want the public to be completely informed so they can take the best action. So that's definitely something that we need to emphasize. The other thing, the points you made about fever screening being not this panacea, that again is something I completely agree with. In terms of the fever screening, I feel like when we saw initial reports that companies like Walmart or other large companies were going to start fever screening for their employees.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks. I found it on Facebook, but you have to download Zoom to get it.
Yeah.
Okay, and now they in closed session and said we'll return shortly. Okay. Huh?
Was they talking about anything interesting?
I don't know. I just got it, and when I got it, it said they was currently in closed session and will return shortly.
Okay. Yeah, because I sent it to you.
Yeah.
I just thought about to look forward.
Yeah, I got it. So I'm waiting on them to come back.
So you call the insurance company?
Yeah. Okay, I got to get off of this because Judith Miller just said, glad you didn't say nothing bad. We can hear you. Goodbye.
Okay.
That have done fever screening and haven't gotten much value from it. So that's not something I technically recommend as a sole stamp.
Kevin, we gotta get back.
Hey, Miss Yancey.
We're going back to Zoom?
Yeah.
I like that mask. Jimmy, I like that mask.
We ready?
Who is that?
Hey, if everyone could please mute unless you are speaking. We're going to get started. Madam President, are you ready to go?
Yes.
Okay.
Can't hear.
2, 3, 4, 5. All right, the time is now 8:54. We have adjourned executive session and are now about to reconvene regular board meeting. Can I get a motion?
Motion to reconvene our regularly scheduled board meeting.
Second.
Properly motion by trustee Miller, seconded by trustee Jones to reconvene the regular board meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Hearing no opposition, Madam President, we had a couple of items that we are instructing the attorneys to go forward with. Can you elaborate, please?
Yeah, so the matter with the Edwards versus the Village of Broadview, I need a motion to approve the settlement of $25,000.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Properly motion by trustee Abraham, seconded by trustee Miller.
That was trustee Tierney
Trustee Tierney
and trustee Miller.
So trustee Miller and trustee Tierney. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
You gotta do a roll call, correct?
In roll call.
Okay.
Roll
What'd
call.
you say?
Go ahead, Mayor.
No, go ahead, Mr. Clerk.
Okay, roll call is in order. We'll start with trustee Miller,
Yes.
trustee Jones,
Aye.
trustee Abraham,
Somebody's got.
trustee Abraham, trustee Abraham.
He said yes. I said yes.
Okay,
Say yes.
Yes.
trustee Senior,
Yes.
trustee Tierney,
Yes.
trustee Horn. Trustee Horn,
It's on mute.
say thumbs up.
Yes.
Okay, good. And that carries 6-0. Madam President?
We need a motion to approve the attorneys to make the settlement offer for the items that was discussed in executive session.
I'll make a motion.
And properly motion by trustee Tierney, sounded like seconded by trustee Abraham.
That was senior.
Senior, I'm sorry. Senior made the second. Madam President?
Can we get a roll call?
Yes, roll call. Trustee Miller,
Yes.
trustee Jones,
Your phone, I mean, it's on mute.
trustee Jones.
You like this.
Give me a thumbs up, I can see you. Okay, thank you, trustee Jones. Trustee Abraham,
Trustee Abraham.
Are we saying yes?
Yes.
Do your thumbs. Oh, do the thumbs?
trustee Senior,
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Tierney
Yes.
and Trustee Horn.
Yes.
And that carries 6-0. Thank you. Madam President?
Thank you. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, did I hear Trustee Horn and Trustee Jones second? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Hearing no opposition, we are hereby adjourned from regular board meeting at 8:57 p.m. Thank you all.
Thank you. Have a good night. God bless you.
Thursday.